Welcome back, horror fans, cinephiles, and Giallo enthusiasts. This is Tanner Leeser, your host for all things Giallo and Giallo adjacent here on The King and Giallo. Let's do it. Time for another unscripted talking head movie review. This is for the final of the 3 films from the Vinegar Syndrome Forgotten Gialli Volume 9 box set, Murder in Blue Light. Okay, so let's just get right into it. This was written and directed by Alfonso Brescia, who, he's got a pedigree with us. I literally see the name and I'm like, wait a minute, I know that name. Oh, he directed Naked Girl Murdered in the Park, and he directed Il tuo dolce corpo da uccidere. Yeah, so he's been around the block. It's not like this is his first foray into the genre. But speaking of the writing, funny enough, because I did feel like of all these 3 movies that this one, the writing was the most little absurd. But I'll get more onto that in a minute. So yeah, Murder in Blue Light. IMDb says, model Starlet leads a double life. At night she becomes Sherry, a Times Square prostitute, in order to search for her brother's killer. He was a Marine who had been involved in a game of hot potato with a live hand grenade on a boat returning from Lebanon. You actually don't learn all that stuff until later, but sure, let's reveal it right in the synopsis. The game had ended tragically when the grenade went off, killing 3 men and injuring 6 others, castrating one of them. Now someone is stalking New York and stabbing ex-Marines to death, leaving fake hand grenades between their legs after castrating them. Hard-boiled policeman Flanigan thinks Starlet is putting herself in too much danger, so he intentionally exposes her double identity, then poses as her to catch the real killer. Spoiler! Holy shit, what a terrible... I did not know that it was going to basically just give you the entire movie. But yeah. So, my thoughts on this movie. This, if I was, I do this a lot. If I was to compare this to another Giallo I've seen, the closest would be A.A. Masu's Good Looking Officer Services, insofar as there's a lot of pointless scenes where you're just watching a escort with odd clients who are into weird things, like dress up like this, do this, spank me, like, you know, it's just like, okay. And it's just so funny because, like, the genre is, this stuff is just kind of tailor-made for this genre of film, but sometimes it just comes off as like, okay, I get it, like, we're just, you know, and occasionally it does actually tie into what's happening. Other times it's just like, I get it, it's an escort and she's doing this. But anyways, for this, it definitely felt a little odd. I would find myself kind of like hitting like fast forward, and just not like I couldn't catch everything that's going on, but it would be going at either like one and a half speed or double speed, and I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, cool, okay, and the movie's back. I didn't do it all the time, but after this movie had a lot of those scenes, and after a while I was just like, dude, I get it. But then you gotta be careful not to do it because something happens during the last one, and I actually wasn't fast forwarding it. But anyways, the thing about this movie, the first one I talked about, Madness I said was like, this feels like a kind of cheap Bruno Mattei ripoff of Tenebrae. Essentially is. But I said it was fun. I said it was very mid. I was like, I dare say good, otherwise I would just say it's fine. Bugia Rosse. This one was a little harder for me to get invested in, but I did think it was actually very well written. And then this one, Murder in Blue Light, I thought the guy was a whale for a second. I thought was like the cheapest in terms of how it was written. Again, it was still fine. It was still enjoyable. I don't think any of these movies were bad, by the way, which is crazy because they're all 90s Giallo films, and I kind of associate that decade with, oh, this is where the genre really started to fall apart. But I guess this proved that, no, it's more of the early 2000s that it really fell apart. But it certainly was slowing down. I mean, it was already slowing down in the 80s, but the 90s, it slowed down a lot, but it seemed like we actually got some decent ones. But yeah, I feel like the writing was, especially with some of the scenes with the main girl, Starlet, and this guy who she becomes associated with at her photography gig, claims to be in love with her after only like knowing her for a few days. I thought those scenes were insanely cheaply written, and it does make sense a little later why some of these things would be being said, but it really kind of felt like someone who is a fan of Giallo films is like, I want to write a Giallo film, and this is what they came up with at times. I also thought I also thought the whole gimmick of the killer leaving behind. So the way they initially pitched it was a killer leaves behind fake bombs. But yeah, they're like literally toy grenades. I thought that is such a bizarre gimmick, like bizarre calling card. Like, oh, that's the Giallo where the killer leaves behind fake bombs, fake grenades. Oh, okay. But yeah, if I was reading about a bunch of these Giallo films and I heard about that one, I wouldn't think, oh, I really need to see that. I would just think like, huh, okay. And the movie is, I don't know how else to put it. It is kind of like that. It is just kind of like, huh, okay. Like I said, the fetish scenes are odd. She lives with her friend who is basically her pimp. Guys will come over to the apartment and he will go in his room, which has a little peephole, and he'll watch them, just make sure that she's okay. At first I thought he was getting off on it, but no, that's not the case. He's protecting her. So it's called Murder in Blue Light, and this movie is in New York City. However, there is no English dubbing. It is only in Italian with English subtitles, and I tend to have an issue when they set a movie outside of Italy, like in England, particularly in London or in America, and they didn't even bother to do an English track. I'm pretty sure there was probably budget reasons, like we can't afford it, or it probably wasn't even doing well enough overseas in America, I mean, to even warrant having an English track. But it is annoying seeing people dressed like Americans, acting like Americans, with the New York City backdrop and with little American flags on their desks, and they're speaking Italian. It is super bizarre. The directing was fine. It was serviceable. There was some stuff that it stuck out. Like earlier on, she's dragged to this party, and the guy who's running the party wants he's kind of a little flamboyant, not gay, but he's just kind of he's an artist, and he wants to reenact the birth of Venus, and so he has all the rich guys stand over here, and he says all the girls take their clothes off, and Starlet is like, fuck this, and she leaves, which is funny because, as the guy points out, he's like, what are you doing, why are you leaving? He's like, you get paid literally to be in your underwear doing photography, like this is nothing. But anyways, it's her call. She leaves, and then as that scene ends, we get like a 30-40 second exterior pan of just the New York City like skyline over the harbor, just slow, and you're like, oh, there's the Chrysler building, oh, there's the Empire State Building, and there's the World Trade Center. I mean, I don't know why it was as long as it literally got to a point where I'm like, they're really lingering on this shot, aren't they? And then there was another shot that stood out to me because it wasn't executed cleanly. It was near the end. All this drama's happening, stuff happening over at in this place, and then at this place, and someone's heading over to the apartment, and the camera was like on the ground, and it's literally like on the sidewalk, and you're seeing cars going by, and it could have just done that, but the camera kind of moved over to catch a car making a wide turn and follow it, but it wasn't smooth at all. It was kind of like someone like struggled to move it, and it was like, that's the shot you got, I guess. But anyways, yeah, this movie did take me a while to get into, but it's only because I'll force myself to watch like 3 movies over a weekend and cut all these reviews, and I think, oh, I've got enough time to do it. And then it's just my attention span really starts going, and I just can't watch movies all day like I used to. It's crazy. So I did have a hard time getting this one going. I had to keep restarting it. But then I just sat down and watched it, and I enjoyed it. Okay, yeah, so it's Murder in Blue Light. So a lot of the kills are kind of happening in alleyways. The killer also has this gimmick where he's whistling this tune. Do I know what the tune is? I don't want to whistle it. I'll play it. But yeah, that. I can't put my finger on what it is, but it is very familiar. There's a funny gimmick, or not even a gimmick, but it's just a way how kills happen in this movie, where we see someone get killed in the opening, and the killer is like dressed like a cop with like a weird mask, and then thinking, oh, that's an interesting look, but that you never see that again. As far as I recall, you never saw that again. Early on, when Starlet is having all these different clients come over, weirdos. One of the guys, he's like a Japanese man. He wants to dress up as a doctor and wants her to dress up as a nurse. And I don't understand what the problem was exactly, but she was like, no, like absolutely not, after they were both like dressed up. And he was like, oh, come on, I'll pay you $300. And she's like, keep your money. Again, it's her call, but I don't understand how this was worse than the other things she did. But anyways, he's not even like aggressive, like, you do it, bitch. He's just kind of like, no, like, why, please? And her pimp comes out, attacks the guy, pulls out a stiletto knife, starts chasing the guy, chasing him through an alley. And then all of a sudden, Starlet like kind of puts on a robe and struts out into the street, trying to be like, no, don't hurt him. But she's basically walking out in like lingerie and like a sex outfit. But you hear the guy scream, and she crosses through the alleyways and finds her pimp over him, and the guy's dead, and he's got a fake grenade on his groin. And essentially, it's like he didn't do it, but he kind of lost the guy for a second, and the murder happened through the course of him losing him. And that was the case. That wasn't like oh, psych. That's really what happened. And I thought, okay. Odd things like that. So anyways, I say all this to say that the title, Murder in Blue Light, it's like, I get it. I get the setting, the themes of sex work. However, the apartment where a lot of these encounters are occurring has a blaring red light that just kind of comes on, off. In the main room, which is like doubles as the living room, kitchen, and her bedroom, you can kind of see it. But then when you go into that little side room where the pimp sleeps, you can really see it going on and off. And so I wonder, like, keep the title. Why didn't you make that a red light or a blue light? But then again, it's like these are called red light districts often. Okay, why didn't you call the movie then Murder in Red Light? I don't know. It doesn't not work, but it just kind of felt like you had this as the title, but yet there's a very prominent red light in most of these scenes where sex is occurring. It just felt like maybe either change the light or change the title, but it's fine. Spoiler alert, so skip ahead. I honestly did not even really think about who the killer could be, because initially it didn't feel like the plots actually like converged. Initially, it just felt like there's a killer. Okay, there's a detective, and we are following this detective a good amount. What was his name? Flanigan. And then you're following Starlet and her job, being a model, which, again, there was a lot of scenes of photography where it's like, come on, this isn't going anywhere. To be fair, the movie was already like under an hour and a half, so it's not like it was really overstaying its welcome. But it did feel like, okay, do we need all this? So you'd see her doing photography during the day, and then you'd see her doing her moonlighting as an escort at night. But I didn't really see for a while like where the two crossed over. But they did. But by then it's like I don't know why I wasn't really thinking about who the killer could be. The people it could be, really, according to the characters you're introduced to, it's like, well, it could be her pimp, but it doesn't seem likely. It could be the guy who she meets recently at her work, the guy who's kind of trying to date her. Or it could be her boss at the photo agency. Or it could be any one of her clients. I didn't really think about it, but I think I must have just been guessing, okay, well, it's probably the guy who's just like in love with her, because nothing about their romance, and they didn't even have a romance. I don't recall them ever hooking up, but they just did not have chemistry. And this guy was, like I said, the writing was really cheap. He was just like, I know I've only known you for like 3 days, but I really love you and I want to get married. And I'm like, dude, this is so cheap. But then I'm like, okay, but maybe this is all bullshit. Like, I don't believe this guy he doesn't come off as authentic, but I'm like, that might be by design. Lo and behold, he is the killer. And the way they reveal it was pretty damn funny. So we keep getting that tune. One of the clients, she pulls his pants off, and he's revealed to be a eunuch. He's been castrated. And so she assumes it must be him. That must be the killer. Again, loses him. Regardless, the pimp is alone at the apartment. You hear the whistling. And then he like looks through the peephole, and he sees someone sitting there. And it's like, well, gee, I wonder who it could be. There's not really many other characters. Or it could have been Flanigan, by the way, also the detective, which I did think so, but I was like, nah, it just doesn't add up. The pimp looks through the peephole, and then he stops, and then he grabs his knife, takes a good amount of time, and then he rushes out to go stab the guy. I'm like, wouldn't you like just checked real quick, just make sure he's still in the same spot? But he rushes out, and the guy's not there. And so he's kind of scanning. Killer comes out, stabs him, and then the killer drops this lighter, and the lighter, when you open it, plays that jingle. The killer gets away, and our friendly pimp dies. And he actually was a pretty nice guy. And then we get to like the final sequence, and Flanigan, the inspector, came into the apartment, he's found the lighter clue. Well, someone else found it, but he was like, okay, Give me that. Everybody out, 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 out. And you're like, okay, where's this going? And first I'm thinking, oh shit, maybe he is the killer. Like that was his and he's trying to bury it. Oh, huh. Also, we did get, sorry, I'm so all over the place. After that castrated guy, Flanigan tells Starlet, he tells her a connection, or she tells him about how her brother was a Marine. He died the year before, and tells him about the hot potato game, and it was supposed to be fake and yada, yada, yada. And the inspector kind of knew about certain things and he just didn't tell her. I don't know why, but then we have this sequence where we have the killer whistling outside, walks into the apartment. While we also see Starlet coming into the apartment, grabbing her wig. Oh yeah, she always wore a wig when she did her sessions. I don't know why, because she looked way better without the wig. But you see, like, cut between her in the apartment, coming in alone, finding the wig, and then it cuts to the other guy as he's like walking up to the apartment, and then he comes in there. Again, it's like all dark, but the red light is going. And that's the only thing that's like lighting the scene, that occasionally going off. And he starts confessing, like, how he, you know, you killed him, or like he died because, I don't remember what he's babbling, but he's basically confessing how he's going to kill her. And he's getting closer, and she's like sleeping on the bed. He's getting closer, closer. All of a sudden she turns over, and it's Flanigan in a negligee with the wig. And he's just pow, pow, pow. I thought that was so funny. And it reminded me of Boondock Saints, when Willem Dafoe is cross-dressing for that. That happens, and I thought that was hysterical. And then Flanigan is like over whatever his name is, Ted. Maybe it was Ted. Mike or Ted. Mike, I think, was the pimp. And he's just like, why did you do it? Why did you do it? He essentially says the man who was castrated was my... And then he dies. And then we get a little denouement. And in that scene, we find out that Ted, his boyfriend, was this guy who was castrated. And I thought it was really bizarre how his motive to go around killing these people was not that his... I mean, it's fine that he's revealed to be gay. That's fine. It's not that his lover was killed. It's that his lover had his dick blown off. And so that means that they obviously can't be together anymore, even though this guy, who is the boyfriend without the dick, is seeing an escort. What? I thought that was a bizarre motive. Like, because of you, we couldn't be together anymore because he lost his long john. And also, Flanigan says how like they had been lovers since like school days or something, or like I don't remember exactly what it is, but it was a very long time that they've known each other and everything. And it's like, okay, well, Ted is like, looks like he's in his 20s or 30s. And this other guy looks like he's in his late 50s or 60s. So unless there's like a grooming aspect going on there, it's just kind of like, that casting doesn't really add up, but what do I know? Anyways, yeah, so that's the movie. Yeah, let me just give you a little ranking. Yeah, if you're watching this video and you hadn't seen my review for Madness or Bugia Rosa, you should have been watching those ones first. What the hell's wrong with you? Anyways, if I was going to rank these movies, I would say that, I mean, I basically already said it, but Bugia Rosa, even though I really struggled to watch it, I would say that was probably the better written one. Madness and Murder in Blue Light, fairly even. Like I said, Madness, you really could, I mean, maybe because it was English dubbed, you could kind of turn your brain off and just kind of coast on that movie. And it was essentially a ripoff of Tenebrae. Not as good, but it was pretty much a cheaper version of Tenebrae with zipper face. Murder in Blue Light, you did actually have to pay attention. That could be because of the Italian track and it was English subtitle, but I actually did have to like sit and really watch. I don't know. Aside from like the kind of scenes that went on a little too long, I would probably say I enjoyed it more than Madness. Madness also had really bad dubbing. Not like it was terrible, but the acting within the dubbing was bad. I guess that's what I'll say. So this one was the best. This one was second, and close behind was this one. But do let me know what your thoughts are. Do check them out, and yeah, let me know what your thoughts are for the movie. Questions, leave your any questions, comments, curiosities, or concerns in the comments section. I'll get back to you. Did you like this movie? Not like this movie? If you've seen the box set, how do you rank these movies? Do you think they were all good, or what? Just let me know. I actually am interested in this. I do really love these talkbacks, just going back and forth in the comments, because again, we don't all share the same opinion, and it's just fun because I don't really have people in my real life circles that are Giallo fans, so it's you guys, baby. Anyways, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me on this. I will try to get out a product review for the box set as well. Those take a little while because I actually have to write a script versus these I just watch a movie and turn the camera on. Although I do edit these videos, I do pride myself on that. Not to be a dick, but other people's reviews, they don't really do any editing. I do. Anyways, so thank you for watching. Thank you for being a subscriber. Thank you to my patrons. And if nothing else, this is Tanner Leeser for TheKingInGiallo, and I already said if nothing else, so I'm tired. I got to go to bed. Thank you for watching, y'all.
Le mutandine no, non voglio, quelle no, non voglio. Oh, oh, oh.